Hey everyone, welcome back to LowKickMMA. My name's Alex Lerman. Today I am joined by Jordan, the Monkey King Leavitt. Or should I start calling you the Money King after that last finish? How you doing today, Jordan?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, just got my bonus, just chilling at home. I live in Pahrump, so I'm like an hour out of town, and like the mountain pass is closed because of the snow, so I've been forced to take a little rest day.
All
Been
right,
enjoying
sounds good.
myself.
Awesome. Well, coming off that first round TKO of Victor Martinez last Saturday, let's talk about that fight. Did you envision a first round finish in this one, or were you a little bit surprised?
I was expecting a first round finish. I thought it would be some fancy, stupid submission. That's what I was really hoping for because I thought I would have trouble, getting a bonus performance without a fancy submission. But I kept predicting that I get a knockout in previous interviews, like kind of as a joke, and it kind of happened. So pretty happy with that.
Look what happens when you manifest it, right?
I know even if you manifest ironically, it works pretty damn good.
I guess so, right? So, what did you learn about yourself from this fight?
Um, I learned that I can hurt people if I have to. I've never really been the person that knocks people out in training. Like I rock people and I'll stop and I know I don't continue to hit them. So you always kind of wonder if you'll be able to flip that switch when you see like your opponent kind of stagger or you see that they're kind of hurt. I was very impressed with myself because I've never really leapt on somebody when they're hurt. So when I saw that he got hurt with the body kick, and chased after him. I'm pretty happy when I watched the film. So
All right. So I could see a vast improvement in your striking game. Obviously, traditionally a wrestler, but what do you attribute this improvement in the stand up with to? Sorry.
oh, just more deliberate drilling. I I never sparred hard really before. I still don't really spar hard, but I also would never drill very hard. So even where like I would kick people, punch people, be like 20% power. So in a fight, I just felt like I was never hitting people hard enough to like get them to respect it. And when your opponent doesn't respect you, like it's hard for you to build your confidence. So a lot of my training partners and me, when we were drilling, they were making me like, "Oh no, kick harder, punch harder, do everything harder." And I feel bad because you're hitting your friends all the damn time, but it paid off. I felt very confident. I earned his respect early, and it paid off.
Absolutely. So you're living close to Vegas. How did you celebrate the win and getting your first TKO victory?
I went to Lazy Joe's Fish and Chips, one of the few gluten-free restaurants in Las Vegas, and then I drove about 2.5 hours home because the highway that I take to get to Pahrump was closed because of a snowstorm. So I was in the car for the next few hours after my fight, and then I just went home and watched a movie with the wife. It was a nice day.
Awesome. So moving on from this fight now, anybody in the lightweight division that you're eyeing up to fight next? And how soon do you want to get back in the octagon? I'm sure you're not too scraped up. It was a quick fight, so
I want to fight as soon as possible. Probably late March would be like the earliest, and anything after that, hopefully April, May would be kind of like the Goldilocks zone for me. I don't want any more 6 month layoffs.
mhm.
That was a little lame. But names, not really too many names that like come to me. Clay Guida
Ooh.
is like a legend of the sport. I've always wanted to fight him. I've been watching him for years. He wants to get the takedown record before he retires, and I have abysmal, horrible takedown defense. So that's my pitch. You want to fight me? I can't sprawl. Sounds like a plan. But besides that, no, I'll fight whoever they put in front of me.
All right, well, Clay Guida, if you're watching this, take my man Jordan up on his offer. So now obviously your fight before this was with Paddy Pimblett. Is that a rematch? Is that a fight that you want to get back soon in the future?
I mean, yes, I would like in a perfect world, I'd want that now. But realistically speaking, he's on a 4 fight win streak, I guess technically, and I'm 4-2 in the UFC. So we'd have both have to get a number by our names to be able to get a rematch. So I just have to get a number before he gets a number, and then that way he'll be enticed to fight me again. That'd be the hope. But I honestly don't think that fight will ever happen, and that kind of bugs me and it irks me.
Hmm.
But I think as time passes, and let me premise this by saying, like, when we fought, he did beat me, he choked me out, better man, all that jazz, all that stuff. But I think in a few years, we're looking back on both of our careers, and I think him beating me is going to be the high point of his career. And I just got to
Wow.
prove that. So I just got to continue to make him look better by making myself look better. And if the rematch happens, I'll be happy with that. But I'm at peace with it. Sometimes you lose, and losses help you improve way better than wins. So thankful. I'm naturally kind of thankful for him. Thanks to him, I made a lot of improvements in this camp, and this fight turned out pretty dang good.
Well, I love that mentality from you. That's awesome. Now let's get into what people kind of know you for, your post-fight celebration. So personally, I love it. I think it's really unique and good for the sport. When and how did you start doing this?
Usually it starts off with like a bet. Like we'll be sparring, like kind of like that post sparring, like, fatigue, that clarity. Like, oh, what do you want to do? And I was like, I don't know. They're like, would it be funny if you did the dirty dancing lift? Would it be funny if you twerk? Would it be funny if you did this? And that's kind of how that's how I've always like came up with these ideas. It wasn't really me. It's kind of like me crowdsourcing, what to do as like a bet. And I had an entire routine plan for this fight. But after I got the knockout, I went so aggro that I forgot what I wanted to do. And by the time I remembered, like, he was kind of like coming to, and like then it felt a little tacky. So I didn't want
Mm.
to do it then. But now I have a dance prepared for next time. But yeah, we all kind of just play around. We like, especially during like weight cut week, like when, like, I'm not thinking the best, I'm not as smart as I usually am. I'm pretty stupid, so I have a lot of stupid ideas, and we come up with a lot of stupid things. So yeah, just for fun, just for giggles, I guess.
Well, I'm not going to ask you what that next dance is going to be. I'm going to leave that as a surprise after for your next win. Um, Now everyone doesn't have the same point of view as me on this. What do you have to say to critics of your unique personality that shines through inside and outside of the octagon?
um, some people like me, some people don't. I promise I'm not playing a character. I'm just weird. I don't purposely do the eyebrow thing. It's a subconscious thing I get from my family. We all do that. Like, yeah, I guess my outfit I chose, but I was pretty happy about that. But besides that, it's kind of just me trying to be myself. I know when I watch the sport as like a fan and I see all these guys trying to be caricatures of like these other fighters, it's exhausting. And I feel like a lot of these fighters, like, they don't know how to be themselves. And then when they leave the sport, they've like spent their entire fight careers playing a character, and they don't know how to move on because they've been this person that's not really them. And I'm just trying to enjoy myself, and I'm trying to stay the same, well, not the same person, but kind of like, in essence, I want to be the same human being at the end of the sport that I am now. I don't want this sport to change me, and I don't want to like try to mold myself. But I've always been weird. I've been zesty, or whatever all the other adjectives they use for me. I've always been that way,
No, I like it.
and
It's
not
unique.
changing.
Good. Yeah, please don't change. Now going off of that, do you have any advice to fighters that struggle to market themselves?
Yeah, like, don't try to copy Connor. You're not Connor. You'll just sound really lame. Don't try to play a fake character. Think about why everyone, all of your friends and your family loves you, and then just try to be that person. I think it's pretty easy. Like, I feel like as long as you're authentic, the fan base, the zeitgeist will kind of be like, hey, this guy's real. Because we all could sense phoniness when we see it. So don't try to be a character. Just try to be yourself. If you're more laid back, a more laid back part of the fan base will like you. If you're more zesty, strange, weird, aggressive, there's people for you too. Sean Strickland has an amazing fan base, and he's unlike anyone else on the roster.
Mhm.
Roxanne Modafferi, completely unique, fan base. It's all about kind of, having your career be an extension of yourself, and not trying to make it like this fake thing that you're kind of trying to like create, trying to like, you know, um, try to like create this image, if you will.
I like that. Yeah, the uniqueness is certainly what sticks what helps you stick out from the crowd, so that's great. Now moving on. So you have a bunch of fights at the Apex close to home for you, so that's cool. And you have one fight in London, obviously, against Paddy. Do you have any other venues in mind that would be your absolute dream to fight at in the future?
My dream's just to fight at T-Mobile, man.
Hmm.
Like, when I was coming up, and I was getting like tickets to the UFC, like, I would watch at the T-Mobile Arena. I'd watch at all these other arenas in town, and I was like, eventually I'm going to be there. And then I got to the UFC. It was 2020, and everything's at the Apex, or I'm in London, getting teabagged and losing. But my family never hasn't been able to watch me fight since like 2018, 2019. That's like the last time I fought in town. So in town with a crowd, of course. So I really just want to fight and have all my family and friends be able to come. I want to be able to look out into the crowd and see like a section of people that I know love me and I know that care about me, because that's just something I've really been missing the past few years. So T-Mobile Arena against anybody, that's all I want. I want my wife to be able to be there ringside. I want to be able to hug her after I win my fight. I want those moments.
I love that. Well, UFC, please get this man at the T-Mobile Arena ASAP. So, moving on now, Jordan, I have a interesting question for you. And now that you just got a TKO finish in the first round, a quick one, would you rather, in general, get a quick finish or a dominant decision win where you're literally dominating for the entire 3 or 5 rounds, whatever it may be?
I would love to have a dominant decision win. I've won some decisions, but they haven't been dominant. I've had the quick finishes. I've had a 17-second heel hook. I've had a 20-second knockout. I finally have a knockout by strikes. The decisions I've had have been rather lackluster. I either gas myself early trying to finish them and then just late on them, or I land a record number of late kicks, and that's not fun. I mean, yeah, it's cool to win, but I really want to show my dominance. I want them to be like, oh, if only Jordan had one more round. He was just toasting this guy the entire time. That's just like an experience I haven't had quite yet. So I would love to be able to dominate somebody for 3 rounds, 5 rounds, whatever. Because I've already been there, done that. I've had the finishes,
Yeah, I love that answer. A lot of fighters usually say to me, quick finish because they want to get that bonus. But I love your point of view, your perspective on that. So now I actually just recently watched your Fight Week vlog. Really enjoyed it. Behind you, you got all your books. Can you recommend any books to the casual reader right now?
My favorite book to recommend is this book called The Courage to be Disliked. And it's a book, it's about Adlerian psychology. And essentially, Adlerian psychology is the idea that instead of what happening in your life meaning something, it's what you attribute to those events in your life that matter. So like the same human being could go through a different human being can go through the exact same traumatic experience, but we all take different morals and different values from those experiences. And this book's all about how we often try to use our past to create excuses for how our future's supposed to go, and kind of how to rewire your thinking in that regard. And that was a book. I read it and I was like, this explains my entire thought process about my life. But I never was able to verbalize it and put it into words. But if you want to understand me, The Courage to be Disliked is my favorite book ever.
All right, I like it. I've got to make a mental note of that, and I'll get on that soon for sure. And just wondering, what's your favorite genre to read?
Oh, right now my favorite genre to read is probably fantasy. I'm reading The Wheel of Time right now. I'm reading Malazan right now. These several million word series that I've wanted to read for many years, but I'm always doing 100 books a year. So you can't read too many large books when you're trying to read that many books in a year. But this year I don't have 100 books as the goal. I'm just trying to read all these series that's been on my list for years. So I definitely am reading a lot more fantasy, sci-fi this year. And then last year I've read a lot of self-help, but I think I've kind of self-helped myself enough. I don't think I need those books anymore in my life. So
that's good. Well, Jordan, I think that's all I got for you today. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on with me on the show. And before I let you go, do you want to shout out any sponsors or plug your social medias for everybody watching?
No sponsors. Nobody cares about me in that way. But if you want to follow me on social media, Monkey King UFC, Monkey King _UFC on Instagram. We have a lot of fun.
All right. Well, Jordan, you are certainly unique. I really love talking to you today. Looking forward to your next fight, and hopefully coming up later this month. And yeah, with that, thank you very much. I appreciate you, and hope you have a great rest of your night.
You too, Alex. Thanks for talking.
Thanks, Jordan.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKickMMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.